afternoon, Quilt Roadies. Welcome. If you're new here, this is a channel about all things in the quilting world. So that means piecing, English paper piecing, embroidery, pretty much anything that can happen when you walk into a quilt shop. Wool stitching, all of that. If you're new, welcome. If you are been hanging around with me for a while, you know what you're in for. This is going to be an abbreviated version because I am like a chicken running around with its head cut off. That's kind of a weird analogy, but when I was a kid, I actually saw that, and it forever is imprinted on my brain. Yeah, though childhood memories kind of, what the heck? So I am heading to a cross-stitch retreat that is being put on by Acorns and Threads, which is a cross-stitch shop in Portland, Oregon. And if you're at all interested in kind of maybe thinking about cross-stitch, that's the place to go. They have so many wonderful things, and it's good to sign up on their newsletter and see what the events are, because I am going to a beach retreat in April of next year at Cannon Beach, and the place where the cross-stitch retreat is being held is just about across the street from one of my favorites, the Center Diamond in Cannon Beach. And you can actually not Google, but go on YouTube and query Quilt Roadies Center Diamond Cannon Beach, and you'll get a walk around of that quilt shop. It's a lovely, it's not big, but boy is it packed full of quilty goodness. And for Oregon, for me, that at least that I have seen, it has the most sashiko fabric and threads, so it's like a go-to place for that. I am behind. I am horribly behind on everything. We've been doing some house repair things going on, and I finally have the beehive cleaned up because I'm expecting company coming for the cross-stitch retreat that's being held this weekend, and she is also a quilter. So as soon as her plane lands, we are going to drive to Pioneer Quilts. Pioneer Quilts here in Portland is a bucket list shop, and I mean, there's many fabulous quilt shops in our area. We are so blessed. I mean, Cedar Ridge, there's just so many options in the state of Oregon, but within driving distance, easy driving distance, Pioneer Quilts is one of those places that, because it's in a historic farmhouse and it has something for everybody, and they have fabulous dyed wool. They have some fabulous wool dyers that do their wool dyeing. At Cedar Ridge, you can get a lot of Sue Spargo things, which is nice. And they have sashiko. And I actually took a class there that I want to take another class there on hand stitching. I just love everything that has to do with hand stitching. It allows me to ground myself, and I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like no matter what's going on, when I pick up that needle and thread, it's like my heart rate settles. It's awesome. It's awesome. And so I have been doing some stitching, but trying to catch up, and I know that once I get back from the cross-stitch retreat, I'm going to be pushing the pedal to the metal to meet some self-imposed deadlines. Because, like I've said before, nobody's the boss of you. So I have Kathy Schmidt's Adorable. She has it in 3 colorways on Spoonflower, but I'm doing the blue, and I'm now working on September's, which is this one with the acorns. I'm using a Valdani thread, but I have to just show you this. I forgot to show it to you last time. But when I went to Carriage Country Quilts and I did a video, which you can query and watch the walk around, I bought this adorable piece of pottery that is for my Valdani thread. And let me just show it to you. And so there, it's just enough for 1 ball of thread. So since I am working on blue and I'm just using this 1 ball, I got real excited when I saw it, because I've always been quite envious of my knitter friends, because a lot of people that knit have a bigger bowl that has a ball of yarn, and it just pulls. This is the same way. You can just pull it and the ball stays in there. And isn't that adorable? So that was at Carriage Country Quilts. So I'm currently have my I'm using let's see, Valdani 578 in a 12 weight for my Kathy Schmidt's embroidery. And oh, I just saw that she has an adorable Halloween one. I'm kind of yeah. So many things to love, huh? Yeah. And I know some of you are doing all 3 colorways. I decided to carry over my blue theme. Okay, so I have that. And then I started to work on, you know, the cream and sugar that several of us are doing the block of the month. And we are doing it all in our own colorway. That is from the Fat Quarter Shop. It's a 12-month program, cream and sugar. And you got to pick whatever fabrics out of your stash you wanted to use. Or if you wanted to buy new fabrics, you could. When I started cutting out the next block, which was the block Star Shine block setting number 1, these are the Star Shine blocks, these ones here, that shape. So you're going to have to do star points to go around that block. And I kind of wanted to use the same purple or lavender kind of fabric, but unfortunately all I had was not quite enough, so I had cut it all out. So when I go to Pioneer Quilts, I'm going to look for, I don't necessarily have to have the exact same one, because this for me is a very scrappy quilt, but I do want it to be a lavender purple. And then I cut out my background fabric, because this, as you can see from this one here, you know, I need a lot of background fabric. So when I take Chris to Pioneer Quilts, I know they carry some of these fabrics. I'm going to look for something along the same lavender violet kind of colorway. I did, you know, I don't know if I showed you this last time. This is the Primitive Gatherings Spring Mission at Point. I know we talked quite extensively about those gazillion hyacinth flowers. I think that's what that is. Not very far. I have that's mine prepped with SF101 on the back. I've got my green vine down, and I am currently just cross-hatching that green vine down. When I started to just kind of go for broke, and I was going to cut out all those white flowers, and I could see that Houston, we have a problem. It was going to be too easy to lose those. So I put the brakes on, went in reverse, sat for a moment, and thought, okay, don't be impulsive or like pedal to the metal. Take the process. And so I just cut out one flower's worth. So one flower, and I put it in a baggie. So I have one flower all in a baggie. And then the rest I'm just leaving as a sheet. And I will cut out each flower as I'm ready to stitch it. Because I just had a feeling that we could have lost flowers, which we don't want. So that's how I've adjusted that. It is not going to meet its deadline. Not even close. In fact, maybe not even this year. But I'm going to try for a Christmas finish. I'm going to try for a Christmas finish. Oh, the weather is beautiful today. It's absolutely the perfect temperature. I think it's like in the mid to high 70s, and it's blue sky with scattered clouds. I am feeling quite blessed because on the other side of the mountain there is levels of evacuation going on, lots of smoke. Yeah, it's a little bit of a cluster over there with the fires. And this has been a really horrific fire season, you know. And so today I'm enjoying this blue sky. The grandchildren are all in school. They are all in school. Everything's going. Although they did close school here last Friday because it was too hot and there's no air conditioning in the school. I'm thinking about, I have 2 or 3 quilts in the queue that I want to get started and going, but I want to approach it one quilt at a time from the Fat Quarter Shop. And the first one, when the cross-stitch retreat is completed, I am going to be really researching this Woven Hearts quilt pattern, and this is for October Breast Cancer Awareness, and it is this beautiful, beautiful quilt. Comes in several sizes. You can find out all about it on the Fat Quarter Shop. I just love this. It's being made for someone special in my family who I never made I told you this before. I never made, like, I didn't do graduation quilts. I was doing off to college quilts, and this particular child is waiting a bit, so I decided I'm making a quilt. But it uses, I have never done this before, and this is the thing. I think sometimes you have to step outside and be brave and do something you've never done before. There's something about that feeling you get that, I don't know, it kind of makes you proud of yourself. Proud of yourself. Yeah. And so I have never done foundation paper piecing. I think one time I tried it early on when I first started quilting, and I did not get it. Now this is a whole different genre. I'm telling you, this frightens me. It frightens me. I mean, yeah. And when I read, I was reading something and I thought, what are they talking about? Oh, on these instructions. So have any of you ever done this? Foundation paper. So, I mean, the instructions alone freak me out. So I need those of you, I don't want to hear from those of you who ran from the foundation paper piecing. I want to hear from those of you who found peace in foundation paper piecing. And please give me some encouraging words, because the cutting instructions are, the sewing and cutting instructions are 20 steps. So, yeah, I figured that once and I'm going to be watching Kim Jolly's quilt tube when she's doing this, because I have no idea, but you have got to see these fabrics. I mean, look at them. They're these gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous colors. This one is so sweet. Yeah, so please, only those who have done it and have conquered, okay? Only those who have done and conquered. Lastly, yeah, so that is all the stitching going on. It's, I made kind of a mess here. I'm sure that many of you, I mean, that's what we do as quilters when the season changes, you know, and some of you are going into spring or summer, and some heading to fall or winter, and some live in a place where the weather really doesn't deviate a lot. But seasonally, by whatever holidays we celebrate, we change our decor. Quilters have the option of changing the mood of a room by what we hang up. And so since in this corner of the world we are heading into fall weather, I started bringing out my fall things, you know, and yeah, everything pumpkin. And I have some stitching to do. But when I was going through, I have a closet downstairs that is just a quilt closet. It has stacks of quilts I've made that I haven't given away or that have a certain memory for me. And I came across this one, and oh, I just had to share it with you. I had to share it with you. It is a signature block quilt. And let's see, I know I must have put a label on it someplace. Let's see. Where is it? Did I not? I wanted to see what year I had done this. But this was back in 80s or 90s. I don't see. I didn't put a label. What kind of quilter doesn't put a label on their quilt? Let me just say. I'm futzing around. But it was a signature block quilt that I did, where it was before there were all these YouTube channels to watch or anything, but you were connected on the internet with other quilters, and there was a group, an international group, that decided to exchange signature blocks. And all it was is a 6x6 square with 2 fabrics from your stash, and then in the center strip is you signed it with a permanent marker. You signed your name and the year. Oh, see, it was 2003 we did this because it says that on these signature blocks. So here, like you can see, and then I did a sashing and a border. So this was a block, a whole block there. And I believe that it was flowers, state flowers, flowers in your garden, because they're all a solid color, and there's a signature block. But when I pulled it out, I was struck by the fact that I wonder where all these quilters are. I didn't know any of them personally. This was an international block exchange. So, every week I'd end up with, 10 blocks in the mail, and I would send out 10 blocks, And I can't even remember who hosted this. But I wonder, where is Carol McElharney in Odenton, Maryland? Or Sherry McAlpine in Jewett, Texas? Is she still quilting? Marianne Rooney from Bendigo, Victoria, Australia. Oh, and I think this was the one. Let me find out. Let me find that block. Here's another one. Roz Porter from New Zealand. Oh, it's Nancy Grundell from Carmichael, California. And if I remember, I'm futzing around here, but isn't that the way with quilting, is that they're memory makers, and I just love that I have these blocks that came from quilters all over the world. And this was when I lived in Bend, Oregon. There's Sue Fossing from Palm Springs, California. Do you know any of these people? Jean Ruger, Lakewood, Colorado. Oh, this one is the one that it blew me away when I got this block. Aisha Khalid from Kuwait. And this was her block right there. Is she quilting? Or is she still quilting? Here's Kay Collier from Hopewell, Virginia. Virginia is for lovers. Kathy Early, Fairfield, Texas. Nancy Sampson from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I mean, it's just so, it's such an amazing, oh, this is so funny. I put in a block and they, and my girlfriend signed. I must have needed an extra block. And the block says, let me just show it to you and then I'll tell you a little story. I probably told it already, but we'll tell it again because I'm old and I get to forget that I told you something. See? It says, remembering the cabin. Remembering the cabin with best friends a woman could have. Yeah. Our friend Lori used to have a cabin up in the woods. I mean, way out there. Way out there. And, I mean, I know some of you, I must have told the story before, but some of you may not have heard it, so I get to tell it again. So, because of our work schedules and stuff, Lori and Dale went to the cabin first. And then Robin and I were coming up either a day later or later that day. We were having to take two separate cars because of time stuff. Besides the fact that we were hauling basically a sewing room each up to this little cabin in the woods. So we get up there, and Robin and I are starting to unload our stuff, and I open the back door to the cabin, and Dale and Lori are already sitting there sewing, and I stopped in the doorway, and I turned around, and I looked at Robin, and I said, "Get back in the car, we're leaving." And Robin's like, "What? What?" Because there was Dale sewing away with a rifle propped up against her sewing table. And I said, "Something has happened, and we're leaving." And they're like, "Oh, no, 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 it's okay, it's okay." Apparently, a criminal had escaped custody somewhere. We're out in the middle of the woods. Somewhere out in the middle of the woods. I don't know whether it was a work crew or they were transporting or what was going on. But anyway, this guy was on the loose. And so the sheriff came by the cabin and warned them that there's a guy loose in the woods. And so, be careful. So, Dale's husband's a hunter. She knows gun safety and all of that. And it was like, I was like, I'm not staying here. But we did because, quilters got a quilt. Quilters got a quilt. And then the next day, the sheriff and his little deputy guy came by again and said, if the guy shows up, give him whatever he wants, And I immediately said, I am not giving him my fabric. I have a rotary cutter. And they were, well, the older sheriff was laughing, but the younger guy was a little bit disturbed, Of course, he's never been confronted with someone trying to steal a quilt. No, I'm not sure I could let that happen. So anyway, nothing ever happened, but it always goes down as those folklore stories of girlfriend trips. And they actually caught him because when we were leaving the cabin after the end of our 4-day retreat, there was a helicopter, a whole platoon of National Guards looking for him in the woods and stuff. But it turned out that they caught him way down in another part of the state. He had already blew the area and was gone. But they caught him. Yeah. So quilting isn't always boring. And whenever I see that block, I remember that wonderful weekend. Yeah, Tammy Cook, McHenry, Illinois. I just want to know. Oh, here's Gwen Jones in Wales. Oh, yeah. I hope that these people are still quilting because they really brought to me such great memories. Okay, I'm going to stand here and just be reading these squares. It's so fun. It is so fun. Quilting is such a wonderful gift, not only for yourself, for the people around you. You all take care. I'll hopefully be caught up by the next time we meet, and hopefully you will have written down some comments about the 20 steps of paper foundation, whatever, to keep me from freaking out. And we'll put one foot in front of the other and do something brave. Love you guys.